vehicle. The victim apparently shot himself in the calf with a small caliber handgun. We had the gun in his lap. And Jim, that's what we had to report today.
Thanks, Sheriff Chris Francis, for that report. Dr. Bob's coming in at 8:30 this morning. If you have a question you want to call into him, call it now, 287-3356, and we'll get your questions answered live here in the Blue Room.
Broadcasting the best classic oldies from beautiful downtown Whiteside Road. We are 100.9 FM, 590 AM, WCAB, Rutherfordton.
Update on the ACC coming up here in just about a couple of minutes from our sports network. We got a game coming up, airtime 11:30 this morning with the ACC tournament continuing right here on 100.9 FM, 590 AM. Stay with us throughout the week for ACC Madness.
CN Sports. I'm Josh Zach. Excitement opened up the second round of the ACC tournament on Wednesday.
Match Madness. It's all happening.
Yeah. The Wolfpack stormed back from a 16-point halftime deficit in their opening round game of the ACC tournament in Charlotte to beat Clemson 59-58. Markel Johnson hit 2 free throws with 2.6 seconds left to complete the second largest comeback in tournament history. Wolfpack head coach Kevin Keats.
What a great ACC game, especially to open up on Wednesday when you talk about a 12 noon game. I told these guys I don't think they woke up until about 1 o'clock and we started the playing. Consequently, Clemson jumped out to a 16-point lead at half. We talked about it wasn't about X and O's, it's about how much heart and desire and effort you would put into it. And I told them, I said, if you played extremely hard, we'll come out with a win. And these guys were special. Markel, I thought he was tremendous down the stretch. You know, he made big threes, and then obviously he sealed the game by making 2 big free throws. But great win for us, and we survive in advance.
Also yesterday, Virginia Tech beat Miami, Louisville nipped Notre Dame, and Syracuse down Pitt. Today, NC State has the tall task of taking on top-seeded Virginia. They'll play the opening round of quarterfinal action in Charlotte. The Hokies will go against Florida State, and Louisville will face Carolina, and the Orange will tip off against Duke in the nightcap. The Blue Devils are expected to have Zion Williamson back, but they will be without Marquise Bolden. Also on Wednesday, Roland Jackson had 21 points and 14 rebounds for North Carolina A&T as they edged Coppin State 82-79 in overtime in the quarterfinals of the MEAC tournament. The third-seeded Aggies will go against Dell State today. The AAC tournament will open today in Tennessee. East Carolina limping into the postseason. They face Wichita State in the nightcap of round 1. That game scheduled for 10 o'clock. This is NCN Sports.
State lawmakers are cranking up a new legislative session. Everything's on the table. The budget, education, transportation, regulation. What are they doing, and how is it affecting you, your family, your business, your wallet? Carolina Journal helps you find answers. Available each month as a free newspaper, every day online at carolinajournal.com. Carolina Journal, your #1 source for government news that affects you. Visit carolinajournal.com today.
Hockey fans, Caniacs, and other cool people, the Carolina Hurricanes' incredibly popular Homegrown Series offers you one last chance to celebrate all things North Carolina this season as the Canes host Minnesota on Saturday night, March 23rd. Grab a giant turkey leg, strawberry shortcake, beer from Lone Rider Brewing Company, or a limited edition Canes t-shirt from Porch Fly Supply Company. Not available that night? Catch the Canadians on Sunday night, March 24th. Learn more today at hurricanes.com/tickets.
The Seattle Seahawks have agreed to sign Pro Bowl kicker Jason Myers to a 4-year deal. He was in camp with Seattle last season before losing the battle to Sebastian Janikowski. The New Orleans Saints have agreed to terms on a new 5-year contract with kicker Will Lutz. The Jacksonville Jaguars released Blake Bortles after officially agreeing to terms with quarterback Nick Foles. And a person with knowledge of a deal says cornerback Pierre Desir has agreed to a 3-year, $25 million deal to stay with the Colts. Tony Stewart headlines 6 new nominees who are eligible for induction into NASCAR's Hall of Fame. Stewart joins Neil Bonnet, Sam Ard, Marvin Panch, Jim Pascal, and Red Vogt as the new nominees. NASCAR also added 3 new nominees for the Landmark Award. Edsel Ford II of Ford, Pocono Raceway founder Dr. Joe Mattioli, and NASCAR president Mike Helton. Josh Zach, NCN Sports.
The weather stays fairly quiet today, a little bit breezy. We'll have mostly cloudy skies with high temperatures in the mid to upper 60s. Cloudy skies expected tonight, a few spotty showers possible with low temperatures in the upper 50s. Scattered showers possible Friday, a couple of isolated thunderstorms also possible Friday with highs in the upper 60s to lower 70s. For the North Carolina News Network, I'm meteorologist Amy Wilmoth in the Weather Center.
It is 53 degrees here under cloudy skies here at WCAB. Cloudy skies throughout today. Rain coming in our forecast later today and rain again tonight and tomorrow. But the weekend is shaping up to be a nice sunny one for our foothills. So we'll be ready to embrace that. It's 8:30 right here, WCAB in Rutherford. Again, congratulations to Paul Thompson. 93 at Forest City won the donuts this morning, and we're being kind to Gladys Sams, who is 106 today. She's a resident over at Hendersonville. What a great birthday that is. Now, this afternoon or this morning around 11:30, we'll kick in with our ACC tournament broadcast. We'll not be rushed today. ACC basketball, we'll have about 3 or 4 games today. So hang with us during the ACC tournament. Right now, though, here's this. The following program, Dr. Bob's Grocery Store Medicine and Healthy Life Anecdotes, is paid for by Dr. Bob Crummy. The opinions expressed on this program by Dr. Crummy are not necessarily those of the owner and staff of WCAB. You are invited to call your questions in live now to Dr. Bob at 287-3356. And now live in the studio, here is Dr. Bob Crummy. Dr. Bob, good morning.
Good morning, Jim Bishop. It's great to be with you again in the beautiful blue room at WCAB.
It's always happy to have you here, and this is the beginning of the ACC tournament. Do you have a choice in the ACC basketball tournament, who you pull for, other than Duke?
Believe it or not, I don't. When I played, I did, but since then, no. I've always been proud of North Carolina universities, State, North Carolina State, UNC at Chapel Hill. And, of course, since Ann and I had a total of 12 children together, they all have college degrees. And some of them went to Duke, some of them went to Wake Forest, some of them went to Carolina, some of them went to State. I guess State's the number one that the kids went to. Wake Forest and Chapel Hill were kind of number 2. Duke was the 4th. We didn't have too many to go there. And
so you had a split family.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's okay. Well,
but I'd just like to see the team do well, and I like to see the ACC team go and win the whole thing. Yeah, that's great.
So would I. Yeah. We'll remind our listeners that the phone lines are clear. If you have a question you want to ask Dr. Bob, feel free to call in. It's time gets going real fast, so get your call in early so we can get that question answered, Dr. Bob. I've got 2 or 3 here already to start with, so you can get your call in. Todd's standing by out there to get your call. If you're ready, Dr. Bob, we'll go.
I'm ready.
First one says, every time I take antibiotics, I get a yeast infection. How can I prevent that?
Don't take antibiotics. That's one way. Listen, you can prevent that. There are actually herbs that are antibiotics. One of the greatest of all antibiotics is raw honey. Next is garlic. Garlic's a king of herbs, and it is absolutely an antibiotic. So is oregano. Oregano is an antibiotic. Oregano, it works especially well for upper respiratory tract problems, you know. And I mean, if you just start developing a cough or something like that, well, you got a little inflammation causing that, and the inflammation is caused by a bacteria or a virus or fungus, and the herb will kind of knock that out. The thing about the patented antibiotics and prescription antibiotics is not only do they kill the bacteria that's causing the problem, they also kill the normal flora in your GI tract and in any kind of orifice you have in your body. And so that's why people get a fungus growing there or bacteria. Usually that's kept down by the normal natural flora of the GI tract and so forth. But let's see. If you're going to take the antibiotic, well, try to pick one that you have. Just only take it when you need it. You know, like when you get the fever, this sort of thing. Take it, and just as soon as you're able to stop. But I like the idea of taking the herbal stuff, and that's kind of what I do now. The one that I have taken, and the thing about it is, if you grow herbs, like I grow basil and oregano and sage, rosemary, and all of those you can actually buy in a drugstore or a health food store. And if they come in a capsule form, you can unscrew the capsule. You got a powder there, and you can put that powder in anything you want to. So that's a good way to take it. In fact, at home, I always keep some of those, and you know, and the interesting thing is they don't spoil. You know, if you keep them in kind of room temperature or in a dark place, the only thing that will weaken them is direct sunlight and heat. But other than that, you can do that. But the other thing is, you know, try to stay healthy. Figure out what's causing your infection. Avoid those things.
Okay, next question. I've read that some supplements can be harmful. What should I look for?
Well, look for any kind of symptom, I guess. I don't know right offhand of, you know, anything if you take a little too much of it, it's going to give you a problem maybe. But the herbs just really usually don't give people problems. You know, the supplements are very safe. It's only the prescription antibiotics that get us into trouble. Well, it's not only those; it's other things too. Look for the side effects of whatever it is you're taking. You know, I like the idea of staying healthy by. You know, a lot of times our immune system gets lowered simply because we're not eating appropriately or we're eating too much of one thing. And I like the idea of having a nutritious diet that you stick with. Eat, you know, you can't beat raw fruits and raw vegetables. They are great. Now, if you want to steam them a little bit, that's okay. But they lose a lot of their medicinal effects if you cook them too much.
Next question. Somebody says, does vitamin C really shorten the duration of a cold?
Heck yeah. Vitamin C is fantastic for everything. In fact, I've got a little book here before me, How to Live Longer and Feel Better, and it's in paperback by Linus Pauling. And if you don't have it, get it, because he gives you all kinds of super suggestions about what were we talking about?
Colds.
Oh, yeah. Avoiding colds. Well, the best way to avoid them, I think, is with oregano, you know, and just keep some capsules of oregano, or you can get the oregano in the oil form, soft gels. And anytime, the beauty of it is anytime you start getting a cold or getting a problem, you can take one of these every hour or a couple of them every hour. And since they're herbs, you know, that's basically kind of a food, and it's not going to get you in trouble, you know. And not only that, if you have an empty stomach now, this is amazing, it will cure things very quickly, because what happens is as soon as the herb hits the stomach, it gets absorbed into your bloodstream. And now your immune system does something with it to make it really healthy. Now, vitamin C, Linus Pauling did a lot of studies with vitamin C, and he had a large group, like about 240 individuals in the group, him and another physician, and they cured everyone who had terminal cancer. It was amazing, you know. Well, they criticized him, and the pharmaceutical firms put a lot of pressure on to kind of discredit that if they could. And they tried to discredit it by saying, well, he didn't do double-blind studies and things like that. And Pauling wasn't defensive at all. He just attacked. He said, I don't need to. I'm a biochemist. And he just sort of says, my degree, physicians, outweighs your degree. And that was pretty much true. Here's a guy who lived to be 99 years old, and he was in good health until he died. But I think, I would always say when I first started learning about vitamin C, I tell people take 1,000 milligrams a day, because I'd heard that he said if you take 10,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day, it will cure cancer. And he just dogmatically stated that, and they tried to discredit those kind of comments. But it will also boost your immune system and cure all kinds of other things too. So any herb will help. Will help almost everything. Any kind of problem you have. The thing that I like is you get a little older. Like I take coenzyme Q10. Now I don't know what you consider that, but anyway, that I think gives me a better feeling about things. I stay younger. My system stays healthier. The other thing I make sure I take is a vitamin tablet with as many things in it as I can get in it. And then the other thing is it's not oregano. Let's see, what is the other thing I take? Oh, it's nattokinase. It helps my blood flow. It's not an anticoagulant, but it does similar kinds of things. It stops those. It stops you from having clots along your blood vessels that block the flow of blood and things like that.
That was the last question we've had called in so far this morning. So I know you always come with a lot of information to give us.
Oh yeah, listen. If you get a chance, buy Linus Pauling's book, How to Live Longer and Feel Better. And it's very readable. It's not only for physicians, but it's for the lay public, And it'll give you the courage to talk back to your physician about anything, to really challenge what he says and this sort of thing. And I found that most physicians like that. They like to be challenged, and they like to, explain themselves and why they're doing what they're doing. Yeah. And sometimes they say, well, I've thought about that too, and they go along with what your suggestion is. But one thing that turns me on so much about the herbs, other than they work so well, is I'm going to read a few of these here, and these are herbs that I order, and I'm going to just tell you about them and just mention kind of what they do. Tea tree oil is fantastic for any kind of skin problem you have. Essiac complex, Essiac tea. Essiac comes in a capsule form. You can get it at health food stores. I get mine from Swanson Vitamins, and you can go to swansonvitamins.com and get all kinds of information. But Essiac supposedly cures cancer, and the people that I've suggested who take Essiac, if they take it on a regular basis, they have good results. It does kill the cancer cells without killing normal cells.
How's that spelled? E-S-S-I-A-C, Essiac.
And listen, Essiac was named by Nurse Casey, C-A-I-S-S-E, which is Essiac spelled backwards.
Oh, really?
Or let's say Essiac is Nurse Casey's name spelled backwards. But listen, she probably cured 500,000 people, and she got by with it because she wasn't a physician, and she could say these things like it cures cancer, and she didn't charge people. If they wanted to donate something, whatever they could, but she was a fantastic lady. Curcumin is you get that in turmeric. Turmeric is a spice, and it's got curcumin in it, and that is something, you know, the people in India have been taking that for 4,000 years, and they take it for any kind of ailment you have. If your system gets low, you start feeling badly, start taking curcumin, and it just immediately kind of straightens you out. And it's good to read about these things and then to buy some and to try it yourself and to find out what it does. And the thing that I notice most about it is I'll take it on an empty stomach now just so I can get the feeling quicker. But in a period of about 15 minutes after I've taken it, I just feel healthier. I mean, it's not a high or a low or anything like that. It's just that you feel better put together.
I have another question before we go any further. Another question. Somebody says, are you finished with your second book?
You know, I'm still creating it, and that is, I'm finished with it. Listen, but I am not that organized right now. In fact, if somebody wants to volunteer to help me, just give me a call at home, and I'll tell them to come by. I live in this big house now by myself with my dog, and we can work on editing the book. I've got someone in Raleigh helping me edit the book. But the interesting thing is, as I'm reading about this stuff every day, I just keep adding things. Like I'll read a chapter in something, and then I'll just kind of summarize that in one paragraph. And I like doing that, and I think, hey, I've got to put that in the book. And so I'll work harder. Just keep reminding me. Ashwagandha is something to take if you're feeling weird and you just don't, you know, it's kind of like if you're middle-aged or older and you're feeling a little blah and so forth. If you take ashwagandha very often, that perks you up a good bit. Cat's claw is a name of an herb, and I think that comes from the cambium layer of a tree. The cambium layer is between the bark and the wood, and it's for joint problems, or it increases your flexibility. Nattokinase, I mentioned that because it kind of controls blood flow and it helps it flow better. It's a very safe thing to take. Cascara sagrada, I like that word, those two words, cascara, C-A-S-C-A-R-A, and then sagrada, S-A-G-R-A-D-A. Cascara sagrada is great for any kind of problems with bowel movements. If you got constipation or anything like that, you start taking Cascara sagrada, and I guess just one a day or one or twice a day, one a day, and you'll start having pleasant bowel movements, whatever that means.
Another question just been called in. What can a person take for pain if the person has a peptic ulcer?
Listen, there's something really great for that. First of all, the pain is caused by something, and whatever that something is, you need to, you know, the pain is a symptom, and then the disorder is what's kind of wrong with it. For instance, a peptic ulcer, you have inflammation in the stomach and maybe a little bit of infection there and this sort of thing. So the best thing to take is take something for the ailment, and the pain is your friend in that it lets you know, hey, something's out of balance, and so you correct the balance and the pain goes away. And the thing to do is to take aloe vera. Aloe vera is magical for any kind of peptic ulcers or anything like that. Any sort of oil would probably help too, you know, like just an ounce of olive oil. Just drink that, a virgin olive oil, and that would help it. And here's the beauty of these things is you should get kind of relief right away. Actually, probably a little bit of baking soda would help the thing too. But here again, I like the idea of taking, if you know that's what you've got, take the aloe vera juice. You can get a gallon of aloe vera juice for $6.40 at Walmart. And just pour you an ounce or two of that, and you can drink it, an ounce or two of it every hour if you want to. And I promise you, in a few hours, you're not going to have your pain. And if you don't, if that's not true, call me and I'll tell you what else to do.
Yeah. My daughter's now wanting aloe vera up in New York City. She found the berry flavor. She likes the berry flavored aloe vera, and she's been taking it. She and her husband, and she's been able to tell a big difference.
Well, good, yeah. I can, and it's kind of like I don't have any trouble with my stomach now, but I take aloe vera juice. Why? Because it makes my stomach feel like Superman. Kind of my digestive tract feels strong. No trouble, no indigestion of any sort. You just feel good. You're not hungry. You're not stuffed or anything like that. You just feel good.
Yeah.
Let's see now. Nattokinase is actually a fungus. I hate to say it's a fungus because fungus. I mean, penicillin came from a fungus. But a fungus, nattokinase, we get it from Japan, from Okinawa. It grows in the sea there, and that's what improves your blood flow. In fact, the kind of statement about nattokinase is, if you take nattokinase on a daily basis, you may die of something, but it's not going to be a heart attack or a stroke. Cascara sagrada, I mentioned that. Golden seal is the business name for yellow root. And golden seal, here again, that comes in a capsule, so you can unscrew it, pour that out and so forth, and take it that way. But, the golden seal is something you can take, even if you're feeling good. Just take it a couple of times a year for a day or two, and it's kind of like purging your system. It boosts your immune system. You feeling better. Oregano, I mentioned that before. It's very inexpensive. You can get it in almost any health food store. In fact, you can probably get it in stores like Fred's and Ingles and so forth, where the aspirin and the vitamins and minerals are. Garlic, I mentioned already. Rosemary. Rosemary is fantastic. And if you say, well, what does rosemary do? Rosemary, I like to get the capsules of that. You can unscrew the capsules here. Again, you got the powder. But rosemary is called a super antioxidant. And they put the name there, super, like, hey, there's no other antioxidant as good. There are plenty that are good, but that rosemary is really fun. And also, one of my heroes is a guy named James A. Duke, and he was a botanist, I believe. And James A. Duke said, if you want to live a long time and not have problems with confusion, take you a little pinch of rosemary, off your little rosemary bush now, and just chew it up. Do that once a day. He said you'll never have trouble with senility or Alzheimer's. So I'm doing that.
Rosemary bushes grow around here pretty good. Can they grow in this climate?
They do, but like I have one that. Let's see, I had about 4 planted, and 3 of them died, and that was because they were too far away from the house. They weren't in good spots, and they couldn't take the cold winter. And I've got a nice big rosemary plant now, but it's on the south side of my house, so it gets the morning sun coming up in the east and going down in the west, and it gets it most of the day. Now, if I plant it on the north side of the house, it's in a shaded area, and it gets cold there, and they don't have the survival rate quite like it. But rosemary is also just a good plant to have in the house. And you can buy plenty of these plants at Lowe's or Walmart. Now, I'm sure there are other places too, but I don't know them right offhand. But the price is very reasonable, and I guess they do that to bring more folks in the store. But these plants are just really wonderful. Colloidal silver is absolutely fantastic as an antibiotic, and that would be a good one to take. Somebody's asking for what can you take for things. That the colloidal silver would be a good thing to take for anything from peptic ulcers to whatever you might get. Tea tree oil also comes in a mouthwash. Lutein. Lutein is something that you can take, Lutein, if you have any kind of vision problem. And I've mentioned this before. My wife, Ann, she started having trouble with reading, and we got reading glasses, and she started taking lutein, and in 2 days she was able to just put her reading glasses away. And I didn't have sense enough to take it at the same time, and I kept my reading glasses and so forth, and got bifocals now. But recently I've started taking lutein again, and I think lutein is helping my vision a little bit.
Comes in a capsule?
It comes in a it comes in a little soft gel thing. Yeah. In fact, if you don't like large pills, lutein is it's like a BB almost. And then there's one called zeaxanthin, zeaxanthin, and zeaxanthin also does the same thing that lutein does. You can also get it if you go to a place that has a lot of herbs in it. Something called Vision Essentials, and Vision Essentials has lutein and zeaxanthin and other things in it too. Ginkgo biloba is absolutely great for improving blood flow to your brain. If you have any trouble with confusion, things like that, start taking daily ginkgo biloba. Ginkgo biloba, that's Ginkgo, ginkgo biloba. And it's very inexpensive. Buca is something that elderly males can take if they feel like they're losing their masculinity. Supposedly it works well. And Buca, B-U-C-H-U, is the only herb I've ever seen where they advise you to drink a little alcohol when you take it. In other words, take it with a beer or take it with a little wine. They say that it really is more potent if you do it that way. If you take it with water, it's not nearly as potent. Saw palmetto is great for benign prostatic hypertrophy. If you have any problems with urination, saw palmetto will straighten it out in a day just about. But you need to take it every day for a while. Magnesium, and you can get some magnesium complex with the calcium. That's something we all probably need to take every day because we don't get it in foods like we used to. Vitamin C, we've already mentioned, is absolutely fantastic. One thing that Linus Pauling recommends in his book is when you take, he said there are certain things that you can take the regular multivitamin tablets every day, but you still need to take extra vitamin C, extra vitamin A, and extra vitamin E. He said those are the 3 vitamins that you need to take extra ones, in order to get a real balance in your immune system and things like that. Let's see. I just mentioned this because this is kind of good for your immune system too. Quercetin, Q-U-E-R-C-E-T-I-N, quercetin, and that boosts your immune system. These other things I mentioned too. I really like a book called 10 Essential Herbs by Lolitha Thomas, and in that she names 10 herbs, and she says with these 10 herbs I can treat any ailment you have and get good results. And then she has a couple of funny little sayings in her book, and one of them is if you're taking an herb that's supposed to be helpful to a certain condition but you don't have them, you run out of them, any old herb will do. And I'll swear there's some truth to that. When you read it first, you say, what is this,
We got about 3 minutes left on the program.
Oh, yeah. Well, listen, since I'm on this, I'm gonna name some ailments, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna just name one thing that you can take that will be helpful. There's usually several things, but one is, what about age spots? Age spots is something we have as we get older. Alpha lipoic acid, allergies, vitamin C, and raw honey. Back pain, lose weight. Heat and ice are helpful. DSMO is great for putting on something on your skin, and the pain is gone very quickly. Blisters, aloe vera gel. Bug bites, oatmeal or Dr. Bronner's peppermint soap. I mentioned, burns and blisters. Aloe is good for aloe gel. Constipation, aloe vera juice. A cough, oregano. Diarrhea, aloe vera juice. Eye strains, lutein, Lutein. Also, you know, another thing for eye strains is you can cut a little slice of cucumber. Some people do that, and they'll close their eyes and lay it over their eyelids for a while, and for some reason, I guess, you absorb certain things that they say that gives them a lot of release. Foot odor, lavender oil or tea tree oil. Gout, cherries or celery. Headaches, peppermint oil, black cohosh. Insomnia. Now, insomnia, valerian root helps with that. Raw honey, believe it or not, helps with insomnia also. Just to take a teaspoon or a tablespoon every 20 minutes until you go to sleep. And usually you just end up having to take 1 or 2 of them, and you won't have any trouble with the sleep. Indigestion, aloe vera juice. Joint pain, Boswellia. Now, I have, you know, joint pain in my right shoulder, and I recently started taking Boswellia, and I'm getting some results from it. Now, has the pain gone away? No, not totally. What helps it is me doing some mild exercises every day and getting in the jacuzzi every day, and I do that at Lifestyle. But there are certain things you can take for joint pain and joint problems. Boswellia is one, and that's what I'm doing now. Cat's claw is another, and then cherries are another thing. Kidney stones, flowering mountain magnolia tea. There are also other things that you can do. I know Swanson's book has several suggestions of things you can take for kidney stones. But the flowering mountain magnolia tree, just get a tea made from its bark, and it works well. Lip cracking, olive oil. Aloe vera gel. Memory lapses, ashwagandha. That's what I was talking about a while ago if you have trouble. Also, sage is supposed to be good for mentally lapses. Menopausal symptoms, black cohosh or Don Qua. Don Qua is D-O-N-G, Qua, Q-U-A-I. And those are both inexpensive. You can get them in any health food store.
15 seconds.
Okay. Nausea, aloe vera juice.
Aloe vera juice is always good, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
See you next week, next Thursday.
Look forward to it.
WCAB Rutherfordton.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Investigators and Boeing could get some preliminary information later today on why that Ethiopian Airlines flight crashed on Sunday, killing 157 people.
The flight data and cockpit voice recorders are now in France being read out. Representatives from Boeing, the NTSB, and the FAA are in France for the readout. Acting FAA Administrator Daniel Elwell telling ABC News.
They are in France now, and we hope to start getting initial data feeds from the boxes hopefully by the end of the day.
The MAX jets were grounded in the U.S. after some similarities were uncovered between the crash of the Ethiopian jet and one 6 months ago in Indonesia. Alex Stone, ABC News.
So far, there are more than 1,100 flight cancellations within the U.S., 114 related to the grounding of Boeing models, and over 1,000 are thanks to weather. Former Democratic Congressman Beto O'Rourke, who narrowly lost the Texas Senate race to incumbent Ted Cruz, is running for president in 2020. Nate Silver with our partners at 538 says O'Rourke brings a brand of electability to the race.
I actually think that his performance in Texas was pretty strong relative to the partisanship of the state and the fact he's running against an incumbent, albeit not a very popular incumbent, but he has to kind of come across that perception that he's maybe a loser is too strong, but that he doesn't have the life accomplishments or the political accomplishments that other candidates do.
O'Rourke joins a crowded Democratic field. President Trump tweets that Democrats are border deniers as the Senate gets ready to vote on a measure blocking his emergency declaration for border wall funding.
This is going to be a stinging rebuke here on the Hill.